So today we're going to talk about public speaking confidence. We have to make presentations in HR, and we're going to get some great tips about getting more confident. And hopefully it's not the usual tired things we've been hearing since we were in high school. This is all on the HR Hub podcast with me, Andrea Adams. Keep listening to learn about this topic and all kinds of things related to HR. You can also find me on YouTube. Today, my guest is Brenden Kumarasamy. Brenden is a public speaking coach. He has his own YouTube channel called MasterTalk. And I am looking forward to talking to him because I know I have a ton to learn. Hi, Brenden. How are you?
Very good, Andrea. Thanks so much for having me on the show, and I hope you're doing well as well.
As we were talking, it's been a bit of a rough morning over here, but I am looking forward to this. So I haven't had anybody on the channel yet to talk about public speaking, but it is something we have to do in HR. It's a skill we should have. But tell me how you got into it. Like, it's just, you look a bit young. I don't know that if you are or aren't, maybe it's just good genetics, but it's a unique career path. Tell me about that.
Yeah, for sure, Andrea. Happy to. And yeah, I always like to be transparent by age. I'm currently 27, but I started coaching when I was 19. So how in the world does that make sense? So I'm happy to share the story behind that. So I went to business school for accounting, Andrea. I thought I was going to be a numbers guy. And somebody told me that if I wanted to work at one of the big four accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Ernst & Young, and Deloitte, I needed to do these things called case competitions. And I asked them, what's a case competition? Turns out it's like professional sports, but for nerds. So while other guys my age were playing rugby or football or soccer, I wasn't one of those guys. I did presentations competitively, Andrea. That's how I learned how to speak. And then as I got older, I started coaching a bunch of students on how to communicate so they could win case competitions. And I accidentally developed a skill in coaching other people on how to speak. But it never started as a business, Andrea. I just started making YouTube videos on public speaking, frankly, in my mom's basement while I was working my full-time job, which at the time I was an HR tech implementer for SAP SuccessFactors with IBM. So I was a tech consultant for 2 to 3 years, and a lot of my friends went into change management. That's how I know the context on HR. And then after that, I decided to pursue full-time, and IBM became my first account.
Oh, wow. IBM became your first account. That's amazing. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about the role of public speaking in someone's career in the context of someone who wants to take on more responsibilities as they move up.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. Happy to comment on that. So for me, communication is so important in your career because the people at the top, whether you want to be a vice president, a senior vice president, a C-level executive, the role is people management by large. You're just managing bigger and bigger teams. So if you're managing a team of 500 people, when you used to manage a team of 50 people, you cannot do one-on-ones with all 500 anymore. You have to be able to be proficient at speaking in one-to-many situations. That could be town hall meetings with your staff. That could be videos that you send internally within the Ethernets of your company. Mm-hmm. That could be a virtual Zoom call where you're speaking at an industry conference related to your company, where the people that are working for you are watching you. So that's why it's so important for us to scale our communication skills at the same time as we're scaling our career, or eventually we'll hit a bottleneck. And that's the bottleneck I see with a lot of people I work with. As I ask them, what do you want to be? They go, I want to be a VP. I want to be an SVP. And I go, do you sound like one right now? Do you sound like one right now? Because if you don't, it's going to be harder to grow into that role.
Okay, so you need to sound like one. What does that even mean? What does a senior leader sound like?
Yeah, and it's a complicated question, right, Andrea? And it's one that I feel a lot of experts in my niche don't really have a good answer to. So I'll give you the best version of this. The best version of this is communication is like juggling 18 balls at the same time. So one of those balls is eye contact. One of them is body language. One of them is facial expressions. One of them is know how to get executive buy-in. One of them is know how to structure slides properly. And the problem with most of us, Andrea, is we take all of these different subjects and we bucket them all into this one thing called communication. Whereas the way you actually practice this is by practicing one of those balls at a time. So if we take the people at the executive suite, what they do really well is when they started, they learned the fundamentals first, ums and ahs, vocal tone variety, pacing, all of that jazz that we can dive more into. And then when they build up more expertise, they go after the other balls. So another way of thinking about this is people are really strong at communication. The C-suite can juggle 15 or 16 of those 18 balls at the same time.
Are you being literal that you have 18 balls in mind?
Good follow-up question. A lot of people don't ask that, Andrea, so very good. So the answer to that question is not consciously. So I'll give you an example to make this pretty concrete. So ball number 1 is called the random word exercise, where you take a word like pen or soapbox or phone or box, and you create random presentations out of thin air on the spot. And this helps you think on your feet, especially if you're in change management, you're doing a lot of conversation, you're talking to a lot of different people. You don't know what's going to happen day by day. So knowing how to interact with those settings is better. But the key here, Andrea, is if you do that exercise 100 times, you're not sitting there thinking, how do I do the random word exercise? Eventually it becomes intuitive. So like as I'm speaking to you, I'm not really thinking about the 18 balls. I'm just smiling automatically. My eye contact's there because I worked on each ball individually as one specific skill set.
Okay, so there actually are 18 different skills that involved in making presentations. You know what they are. You have practiced all 18, and if we want to practice all 18, we're going to get better as well.
Correct. And the key here is to start with the first 3, but yes, the logic.
Okay, we're going to get to the first 3. I want to talk about confidence though, because we started this with this idea of confidence, and I know we all want to feel confident. By itself, what role does confidence play in our ability to present well?
So for me, confidence is all about the energy that we exude when disseminating a message. So for example, there's a very big difference between, let's say, a client asks us a question at work in HR, and we respond with, I don't know, Andrea, versus, I don't know, I'll get back to you. So I'm still saying I don't know, but the difference between both is stark, because the second person sounds very confident in their I don't know. So the message that we have subconsciously in our mind, indirectly rather, is, oh, Brenden doesn't know the answer, but he'll probably figure it out. Whereas person number 1, when they go, Andrea, I don't actually know, let me get back to you, I'm still saying I don't know, but in that context, the message you're sending indirectly to the people around you is Brenden doesn't know the answer, and trust me, he's not going to find the answer. And that's a big difference, and that's really how confidence plays a role in how we present.
So you talked about the 18. We don't have time today to talk about all 18, but can we talk about a few of them? And you actually have something in mind as to where we should start.
Right. And let me start with the good news, Andrea, because I'm glad you prefaced with, let's not go into the 18. I completely agree, because guess what? From experience of coaching probably 130 people so far privately, and probably another 100 in school, I would say that nobody does the first 3 consistently. Nobody. Unless they have somebody like me yelling at them. So if you just do the first 3 balls, you're going to be ahead of most people. Because remember, we're not comparing ourselves to the world here in this exercise. We're only comparing ourselves to other people in our industry. So if you're a change management consultant, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to me or you. You should be comparing yourself to 99 other change management consultants in your sector. That's the way you have to play this game. So let's go back to ball number 1. Ball number 1 is the random word exercise, right? So you take that word like pen, like tissue box, and there's 2 purposes to the drill. The first one is it helps you think really quickly on your feet when you're in client situations, working situations. And number 2 that people can write down if they want is, if you can make sense out of nonsense, you can make sense out of anything. So if you know how to talk about avocado toast for 60 seconds, when you go back to your expertise around HR, whether it's payroll, whether it's benefits, whether it's, compliance, you're going to be really sharp in those boardrooms because you're talking about the same topic over and over again. And the best way to practice this without a coach is you have a few friends or family members. Ideally, if people have kids, it's great to do with children. Just do this 3 to 5 times a day and you'll get really good really fast at this.
Can I make you do it?
Of course you can. Yeah, give me a word. Just don't say HR because it's too easy for me. Pick something completely random.
Cleaning your glasses. Sorry, I'm just looking at that right now.
Did you say cleaning your glasses?
Yeah.
Awesome. Like, did you mean like glasses that you put on your face?
Hey, yeah.
Awesome. Ever since I was a kid, Andrea, one of my favorite TV shows was a show called Arthur that featured an aardvark with his friends of little animals who looked like human beings who would go about their days. And I remember when I was a kid wearing glasses, and whether it's cleaning them or honestly just putting them on, used to be a tactic that people would use to bully you. Because back then, not a lot of people had glasses. So because of that, the main character in the TV show, Arthur, who wore glasses, always got bullied. There was this woman girl in the TV show named Francine, who would always call Arthur Four Eyes until Francine had to get a pair of glasses. And then they spend time cleaning their glasses together. But the point I want to drive is a lot of us from that TV show, I learned that when you take the time to really appreciate each other's differences, instead of creating a difference between people, you create a lot of joy and happiness with the people around you. So whether it's cleaning your glasses or whether it's doing some other chore, I encourage you to use those glasses not just as a metaphor for the things that you see in your life, but also for the perspectives you take on of other people. And if you do that, I think your life will be a lot better.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, at some point you said, and the point is, and you told a story. Can you talk about both of those techniques in public speaking?
Let me simplify this even more, Andrea, because I'm happy to talk about that. But the point I want to drive is the first 100 times you do the exercise, you do not even look at the result. Because most people listening to this podcast won't even attempt it once, let alone try it 100 times. That's the big thing. To the specific part of your question, though, Andrea, what happens after you do it 100 times, not before, is if I ask 10 different people how they would approach cleaning your glasses or hairstyle as a word, they would give me 10 different answers. The first person would go, oh, I loved watching Arthur as a kid. The second person will go, oh, well, I grew up wearing glasses because my eyesight was so bad. So they would have told us a story around that. The third person would have said, oh, when I was cleaning my glasses, they broke once. So my parents got really mad at me. So the point here is not what's the right answer. The right perspective is life is filled with uncertainty. So the random word exercise is designed to help you conquer uncertainty because we don't know what life will throw at us. So the big lesson here is just do it a bunch of times.
Okay, so that was number one. Interesting. Okay, number two.
Absolutely. Number two, Andrea, is the question drill. We get asked questions all the time in our life, at school, at work, on a podcast like this, but most of us are not ready for the questions that life has in store for us. I'll give you an example with me. A few years ago when I started guesting on podcasts, I sucked. I was terrible. I remember some guy asked me, hey, Brenden, where does the fear of communication come from? And I started panicking and I looked at the guy and I said, Calgary, Los Angeles, Florida, maybe New York City. So I had no clue how to answer it. So how did I fix it? Every single day, Andrea, I spent 5 minutes answering one question that I thought the world would ask me about my communication, my expertise, my products, my services, until I had an answer for most things. So day one was, what tips do you have for introverts? Day two is, how do you overcome your fear of communication? Day three is, what's your vision for MasterTalk? But if you do that every single day for a year, Andrea, with just 5 minutes of work, you'll have answered 365 questions about your industry, and you'll be bulletproof.
Where do you suggest people get their 350 questions? Yeah, I mean, it would take me a fair chunk of time just to make 350 questions up.
Very good. I just love the way you're intrigued, by the way. Kudos on that. So a couple of different directions you can go into. So one that I see is typical, let's say, of a VP of HR, to use the context of this podcast as a frame, directors of HR, SVP HR, when I'm coaching that group of people, what I have them do is I have them watch a panel that they wish they were on. So I'll give you an example. Let's say they were a VP of HR at McDonald's, and their goal is to be CHRO one day, right? Chief Human Resource Officer, for those that are listening. So what I'll have that person do, I'll have that person YouTube the CHRO of McDonald's, whoever that person is, and watch them on a panel, listen to it for 30 minutes, write out all of the questions that host asks the CHRO, and then they do the exercise as if they are the CHRO of McDonald's. So typical question would be, where do you see the future of HR going in the restoration business, right? The hospitality business in restaurants. Well, if you were the CHRO, Maggie, how would you answer that question?
Interesting. Okay, number 3.
So number 3 is so simple, nobody does it, Andrew. It's very simple. All you have to do, especially I'm sure the HR gang will appreciate this, make a list of 3 people you love the most in your life and send them a 20-second video message to just show how much you appreciate having them in your life. Very simple. The only rule is you're not allowed to retake the video. I'll add an extra layer on top for people who are in smaller organizations. One of my clients is a CEO of like an interior designing firm in Brooklyn, in New York. And he has like 40 employees. I don't know how many clients he has. And then he asked me, like, how do I improve engagement, like with my staff? I was like, should I buy them ping pong balls or something? And I said, no. Here's what you're going to do, because the company is small. I don't care if it's the janitor or the COO of the company. You're going to send all 40 of them a video message individually appreciating the hard work that they're putting into your business. And he refused. And I said, I'll fire you if you don't do it in 24 hours as a client. That's what he did. He said 40 video messages, and it made everybody's day. People were crying. You're like, oh my God, the CEO knows my name. But the point I want to drive with the story is you don't have to be the CEO to do this. If you're a CHR, if you're a VP, if you're a director, if you're a manager of HR, just do that to your direct reports or something. It really makes their day.
Or if you're just on a team, do that for the members of your team. It's
perfect.
Genius. You know what comes up in my channel all the time? It's ridiculous how often it comes up, is appreciation. So easy and such a driver of engagement and good feelings. I mean, if you do that to 10 people, you're going to have a great day. Oh, I like it. Okay. We have time for more. Do you have any others?
Yeah, I mean, I got a bunch.
Okay, all right. Lay some on me.
For sure, Andrea. But let me give you the most important one, and I'll jump into another one, is what's the takeaway for everyone listening? Here's how you get the result. Because everybody listening to this right now, Andrea, this is what they're thinking. They're thinking, wow, Andrea, you brought up some great guy named Brenden. He's trying the random word exercise. Well, I never thought of that. Pick a random word. I don't even have to do this with people. I can just do this by my own. Genius. Oh, question drill. Oh, wow. I can like take my voice recorder and give myself answers to these questions. Why didn't I think of this? Video messages. This is brilliant. But the problem is nobody does anything with the information. So here's the most important thing. The best way to speak is to speak, unfortunately. So the way you get the result is I encourage all of you listening to this podcast to book 15 minutes every single day to do all 3 of those exercises. Like I told you earlier on this podcast, Andrea, most people don't even do the first 3 balls. So I can teach the other 15 today, even if you probably just want me to give 1 or 2 other ones. But the point is if you're not willing to practice those 3, why should you learn more about speaking?
Okay, so I don't know how many people are going to end up seeing this. Maybe 2 are going to do it. Hopefully more. Or once they get those first 3 down, where would you go next?
For sure. So there's a different direction you can go based on their goal, but I'll give one that I think is more standardized across the board, which is the goal call. So a lot of people ask me around listening. They go, how do I listen more effectively? How do I practice this? But the problem is we say how important it is, but we don't give any practical ideas on how to actually get better at it. So I had to create one for the community. So the exercise is really simple. It's called the goals call. Here's what you do. Pick somebody that you love. You don't have to even start with the coworker, by the way. Just start with somebody you're really excited to listen to for 45 minutes. You just want to serve them. So you begin the call by asking them for the first 5 minutes, what are your top 3 goals for the year, and why are those goals personally important to you? So what are your top 3 goals? Why are they important to you? You listen to their answer. This is goal number 1, Brenden. Goal number 2, goal number 3. Here's why all 3 are important. And you reply by restating what you heard. Just to make sure I got that, Andrea, you said goal number 1 was X, goal number 2 was Y, goal number 3 is Z, A, B, C. Here's why all 3 of these are important. Did I get that correctly? And then you'll say, no, Brenden, you missed these 2 things that I want to add on, and then you'll add on. And then for the remainder of the 40 minutes, here's the catch. The catch is, for the rest of the 40 minutes, you are not allowed to give any advice whatsoever to the other person. The only thing you're allowed to do is ask clarifying questions around their goals and restating what you heard. Example, let's say the person's goal says, I want to be a CHRO. I don't know why I think everybody on this podcast wants to be a CHRO. That's the phrase.
Let's just say they want to be, I don't know, let's just say they want to be an HR manager. How about that?
Sure, let's use manager. So the clarifying questions for the rest of the call would be, where are you right now in your career? What time frame do you think it would take you to get to manager? Why do you believe that? What do you think are the skills necessary to be a manager? Out of those skills, which ones do you feel that you have and which ones do you feel that you don't? And you're just asking them questions and restating. If you do that with 10 people, Andrea, your listening skills will skyrocket.
Have you seen it happen?
Oh, yeah. So everything that I teach, by the way, I think that's what separated me from a lot of the industry and why I got a young face with a lot of experience. I only open my mouth if I know something works. So for example, with listening, I don't go, oh, you know what Aristotle said, Andrea, like you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. But then I would hear other experts say that and I would question it. I would get, okay, but like, what do I do? And then another expert goes, 93% of all communication is nonverbal and 7% is verbal. I was like, that's true, but what does somebody do with that? Like, do you want me to write 93 on a chalkboard or something? So everything that I'm teaching, it's because I've already split tested it with clients and I got them results. And I have a lot more of a hands-on approach to the field. Because if I don't get people results, I don't make money and I'm broke. That's why everything's practical.
It's true. It's true. All right. I have one final question. What role does talent play in this?
So here's my take. I think I would be lying if I said that I didn't have some innate gifting in speaking, even if
yeah, I'd agree. Yes,
right. But there's a big but, and the caveat that I will add is I fundamentally believe 95% of my skill set was built because I worked like a dog. Like it's no accident that I'm 27 and I have 8 years of experience and I coach a lot of C-suite and why they trust me. That is not because I'm some innate, gifted, spiritual animal. It's because I've done the question drill 2,000 times. It's because I've guested on 500 podcasts at this point in my career, which is insane relative to my age. And I've done the random word exercise. So do I think everyone can be in the NBA? No, Andrea. I don't think everybody can be in the NBA. But wherever your skill set is, do I think you can 10x wherever you are currently? 1,000% yes.
If someone wants to learn more, where should they go?
2 ways to keep in touch. The first one is the YouTube channel, which is MasterTalk in one word. You'll have access to hundreds of free videos on how to speak. And the second way to keep in touch is to attend one of our free workshops. We do a free one on communication every 2 weeks. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to be a big C-level to be on this call. You can be a manager. Anyone could join. So if you want to jump on that, go to rockstarcommunicator.com, and I hope to see you there.
Okay, well, thanks, Brenden. I totally resonate with that idea that practice is going to level us up no matter where we're at. I've seen it happen personally, maybe not in public speaking, but certainly in other areas of my life that I didn't think were, well, I did think were more talent than practice. But at this point, we've reached the end of the episode. Thanks for listening out there. We'll catch you next time when I talk with another insightful guest.